Hello students, I am Himani Sharma, your UGC NET Paper-I educator. I welcome you all on the Drishti learning platform, and today in this new YouTube video, we will be starting with the shift to analysis of Paper-I, which is with regards to the English literature examination, right? So the cycle that we are talking and targeting in this video is the December 2022 cycle, for which the examination has already happened in the 2023. So basically there are 3 units first of all that I'll tell you that these are the 3 units of which the questions I'll be dealing with. So for instance, today in this video I'll be talking about the questions related to research aptitude, questions related to ICT, that is information and communication technology, and questions related to higher education. Alright, so we all know that English literature paper has happened, and of course we have Paper-I, which is related to teaching and research aptitude, and we have 10 units overall, right? So out of those 10 units, I'll be dealing with 3. So let's just jump into what we have as the questions, and I would request you all, if you can, pause the videos and try to answer these questions on your own, and then look out for the solutions when I, describe or explain them. So first question that I have here is, when the consistency of data collected is measured at different points of time, it is identified as, so we have 4 options here, you have to choose one. The answer to this question is option B, that is test, retest reliability. So when we talk about reliability in research, first of all, what do we mean by the word reliable? If I ask you that I rely on someone or something is reliable, it of course means that it is trustworthy, right? So something which is trustworthy, even in research, would be counted as something. The test is reliable, that if I do that test time and again, the results will come out to be same, right? So this is the reliability which we talk about in the as a characteristic of research. If we talk about the test retest reliability, it measures the consistency of results when you repeat the same test on the same sample at a different point of time. So for example, if you have taken a group of students who like history, so they will be the ones, right, students of history, right, the students who have interest in history, if you do the same test, on the same set of students, you will get the same results. Hence, test and retest is being done, which is leading to reliability as a whole in the research process, right? For example, another example that I have here is a test of color blindness for trainee pilot applicants should have high retest reliability, because of course color blindness is something which does not go away, right? So if you are going to test the color blindness, on the trainee pilots, right, you are going to see the same results time and again, right? Moving to the next question. Change of behavior in people after they come to know that they are participating in a research project to produce results that do not have validity is known as what? The answer to this question is option C. Now in option C we have Hawthorne Effect. What is Hawthorne Effect? Of course in the question it is mentioned only that a person or a participant, when he or she is being observed, they behave differently, right? So people's tendency to behave differently when they become aware that they are being observed. One example could be here that when a teacher is in the class, the students try to behave in a disciplined manner, right? So that way we can see that this Hawthorne effect in research also is there, because of the fact that when the participants know that they are going to be observed by certain, researcher, they will try to behave differently, right? As a result, what is observed may not represent normal behavior. So of course, if a student is not really disciplined in its, in his or her life, right, in the true manner, in the real sense, but he behaves to be so in the classroom, that means that that is not the normal behavior of the student, right? Same goes in the case of research participants as well. So what will it threat? It will threat the internal validity and the external validity. Now here, students usually get confused between the two types of validity that we have. We have multiple types of validities, right? But if we talk about these two, internal validity is like how consistent the result was, like, you know, the test was which was conducted. So the consistency of the test in itself. Consistency of the test in itself. But if we talk about the external validity is that how if I apply that same test on a population which is, you know, in the real world basically. How that test will be seen in the real world. Does it give me the same results that the, you know, participants or the sample that I chose? Right? So these are the two types of validity which are important when we talk about research, and if the Hawthorne effect is observed by the participants, if they start behaving in a different manner, of course these two validities will be threatened, right? Then the next question is some of the threats to internal validity in research are, so you have to choose between the options. The answer to this question is option D, that is attrition, history and maturation. So these are the three threats which are related to what? Which are related to internal validity. And in the previous question, I already have, you know, taught you that what is internal validity, that how the test is being conducted in its own self, right? How consistent it is. So first of all, what is attrition? Attrition, let's just say, or for example, that there were certain students, right? Let me just write it here. There were certain students who were there in a test, like a researcher was studying certain group of students, a group of students, right? And the research was supposed to be held in different levels. Let me just say that it was supposed to be a pre-test first of all, then the actual data, and then the post-test as well, right, which usually happens in the experimental research, right? So when the students were enrolled for that very thing, that very research, when the researcher was trying to have them for their pre-test, they were there, but they suddenly dropped out for the post-test or the data collection time, right? So at that point of time, when the sample that you have selected, right, they keep on dropping out of the, you know, research, that is known as attrition. And of course, if the sample will not be there, how will I be able to apply the, you know, results of the sample on the population? That won't be possible, right? So attrition is one threat to the internal validity. Loss of study units from a sample, as I told you, that basically it is dropping out of a research. Correct? It occurs when an analysis does not include a sample member who was randomly assigned. So basically they were there initially, but they are not there for the entire research part because they dropped out of that process of research, right? That is attrition. Then we have history. Now history here means that there are certain events which might occur, which might lead to the accountability of the results. Right, for example, if I talk about the history part here as the internal validity, you know, threat. So first of all, there might be certain things in my background which might be affecting the results as well, right? So that is where the internal validity counts, and history counts as a threat to that internal validity. Then we have maturation. There might be certain participants, for example, if I talk about that there are certain people who suffer from seasonal depression. Right? But at some point of time, and I am observing this very group who suffer from seasonal depression, and at some point of time, they were in the research process, but during the research process, they were taking certain kinds of medication or therapy, which led to them, you know, cure that very seasonal depression. So, or get over with it. So basically this thing has gone and the participants have maybe evolved mentally, physically, anyway, anything or anything like that, right? So basically this can also be, the maturation can also be an internal validity threat because of the fact that the participants are no longer what they were when I started observing them as a researcher, correct? Then we have statement based question. Statement 1 says, in focus group discussions, the moderator is supposed to provide a liberal climate for participants to open up. Statement 2 says, participants of focus group discussions should rank individual experiences for comparison. So you are supposed to choose amongst the 4 options again. The answer to this question is option C, which says that yes, statement 1 is true, but statement 2 is false. Why? Because you as a participant should not be ranting about for comparison. You should be just telling your own experiences when it comes to the focus group discussions. So let us see the explanation that I have here. First of all, what is a focus group? A small group of carefully selected participants who contribute to open discussions for research on any kind of topic. So if I have gathered people who are going through their weight loss journey, right? So I will be, as a researcher, I might be the moderator there, right? So the moderator will be there to conduct that very research, and he should not be biased towards any of the individuals who are participating in that very research, right? So carefully selected participants, and I will only select participants who are going through the weight loss journey, right? And I will be asking them certain questions as a moderator. The group might look at new products, feature updates, or other topics of interest to generalize the entire population's reaction, right? So who was the one who gained weight in the weight loss journey even, right? So we can see that if there were any, differences amongst the groups which were there amongst the individuals as well. This research includes a moderator that I was specifying already, and the job of the moderator is to legitimate results and reduce bias in the discussions by keeping the, opinions open, right? But yes, by being objective and not being biased towards any participant who is, being or who is taking participation in the research on the focus group discussion. Then the next question is, which of the following best describes Web 3.0? Right? So in the previous video, we have talked about Web 1.0, Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 as well. So I hope you will be able to guess the answer to this very question. The answer to this question is option B, which says that Web 3.0 is based on the intelligent web where applications use natural language processing. So basically in the previous video as well, I gave you the example of Apple, right? The Alexa and Siri which are there. So first of all, if you haven't watched the previous video, let me just tell you that what is Web 1.0, what is Web 2.0. Basically, these things are nothing but the evolution of the World Wide Web. Alright, so this evolution takes place and when the internet has been there for centuries, right, this very thing has been there. So Web 1.0 basically is something which came for the very first time, and it was something which was related to static web pages. Right? So when I say static web pages, I mean that the people who were participating, who were, using the Web 1.0 feature, right, when the internet was there, when Web 1.0 came, they were just creating pages for the other people to view basically. So here the usage was just personal, right? But when I talk about the second evolution which came with Web 2.0, it became Web 1.0 is read-only web, where you are just going to be there and read only, the pages which appear in front of you. But if we talk about Web 2.0, Web 2.0 is something in which we read and write, right? So for example, if I talk about Wikipedia, if I talk about YouTube only, we all know that how through even writing down in the comment section. So for example, you guys write down your doubts in the comment section and I will be responding. So basically, you are reading the content on Wikipedia, which can be changed. You are viewing content on YouTube, which you can reply to if you like that very thing, right, in the comment section below, or just by liking the video, right? So this is Web 2.0. But if we talk about Web 3.0, it came up with read, write, and execute theory. You can execute something as well, right? So it is an executable web, also known as semantic web, right? So basically what happens here, we can talk about the example of Siri, Alexa. In Web 2.0, I gave you the example of Wikipedia because the other people are also participating. Web 2.0 is participative web, but Web 3.0 is semantic web. Yes, right? So examples are Siri and Alexa. So if you give instructions to these very things, right, they will be doing the same what you ask them to, right? So here we see that yes, web, from the evolution of internet, how from just reading the static pages, the internet developed, the web pages also developed, right? Then we have next question. In the context of information and communication technology, ICT, which of the following statements is or are true? So give yourself some time to read this very question because the pointers are quite long, right? And then try to answer what you feel is the correct one. The answer to this question is option C, which is A only. In an email system, BCC allows the sender of the message to conceal the recipient entered in the BCC field from the other recipients. Let's just look here for an example. So when you write an email, this is the format to CC and BCC. Here you write the subject and this will be the body, right? So basically if I talk about here, in the two you will just be going to enter the participant 1234@gmail.com. In the CC you can put someone, but the CC people will be seen, the recipient, this person will see that this same mail has been sent to the carbon copy. The carbon copy of the same mail has been sent to the recipient entered here. So 4567@gmail.com, for example, right? And in BCC what happens, it is blind carbon copy. So other recipients will not be able to see who the sender has entered in this very field. So for example, if it is 10512@gmail, the other people won't be able to see that who to whom has this email has been sent, right? So the BCC, because the name is blind carbon copy, it blinds the recipient in the BCC field from these very people to whom the mail was directed to, correct? So BCC stands for blind carbon copy. It's similar to carbon copy because of course the same mail is being sent to other recipient, but here what happens is BCC sends a copy of your email to anyone in the BCC field, right, but hides their email address from all other recipients. So if a person, as I told you, will be in the BCC field, the other participants won't know that this same email has been sent to some other person as well. And yes, of course, one more fact, that BCC recipients cannot use the reply all function. If a person is just in CC, the CC person can use the reply all function, but the BCC person won't be able to do that. So it's just a factual information which might be asked in the NET examination, right? The next question is, Statement 1 says mainframe computers have smaller internal memories than desktop computers, and statement 2 says spreadsheets and word processors are example of application software. So try to answer this very question. The answer to this question is option D, which says statement 1 is false and statement 2 is true. That yes, if we talk about spreadsheet and word processors, they are examples of application software, right? So if we talk about application software, there are certain applications in our computer which are used to perform certain functions. For example, if I talk about MS Excel, it is used to create spreadsheets. If I talk about MS Word, you are creating normal documents there, right? If I talk about any, other application, for example, even Google Chrome for that matter, right? So these applications are there to perform specific functions on your computer. Hence, the application software they are known as the application software, right? The other thing is, the other statement that we were talking about, the mainframe computer has much more features and larger memory and high processing speed. But in the question they have asked that it has smaller internal memories. So of course, because of the fact that it has larger internal memories, this statement is completely wrong. Correct? Next question is, ICT is used to control and monitor everyday activities. Which of the following activities are most likely to use sensors? Right? So you have to be cautious when you read the question. The answer to this question is option B. That is B and C only. Activating a burglar alarm or opening automatic doors. You must have visited some mall or the other where you see that when you even try to step in between the mall, the doors open automatically, right? Because there are certain sensors which are there. Same is the case with a burglar alarm. That if someone tries to forcibly break into a house, a burglar alarm would go off, right? So of course, it is something which is using sensors. And these are ICT based, that basically information and communication technology is being used here. These things won't use sensors. These might use a human to perform certain functions. For creating a spreadsheet, you might have to type, right? Or for designing a master slide, basically a PPT, you will have to enter the data basically, right? Next question is, which of the following statements about computer networks are true? The answer to this question is option C, which says option B and C is the correct answer. Why is not A the correct answer? We will see that as well, but let's just read the statement here as well first of all. The option A says that intranet is a public network. It's not a public network, it's a private network used in a particular kind of organization, right? Hence it is wrong. But if we talk about the internet, of course, it is a group of interconnected networks, right? An extranet is an internal network that can be accessed externally by authorized users. Let's just look at this very table that I have created for you all to understand the differentiation between these three types of networks, because these are really important from the examination point of view as well, right? So, internet, network of networks we call it, right? Interconnected networks. So of course, all of the people in the entire world, they all are using internet, maybe through a broadband connection, using mobile data, Wi-Fi, so on and so forth basically, right? So internet is a public network. If I talk about intranet, it is private, and extranet is also private. If you would have seen or read this very point here as well, right? The objective of internet is information sharing across the globe, the global network, right? As I told you, the network of networks is known as internet, the basic definition which we would have read past in our 5th or 6th class. Intranet, somewhere or the other, because of the fact that it is a private network, information sharing between staff and employees. Let me just give you an example of intranet. For example, Drishti has its own internet connection, right? And only the people or the employees or the staff of Drishti group in this very, building will be able to access that very internet, right? So that is not internet, that will be internet, but if it is shared just in an organization, that will be known as intranet because it is private to an organization, right? Extranet is information sharing between different organizations. So let me just give you an example here real quick, that if I am from Drishti and I am with, in touch with some other organization, right? So to give access to them to be, for the documents to be shared basically over internet, I will authorize them with certain passwords, something like that. So externally they are trying to reach to the internal network, right? So extranet for external usage, the usage of the external staff, intranet for the internal usage of the staff of the organization. Possession by none, intranet by single organization, as I gave you the example of Drishti, and extranet by single or multiple organizations, correct? Then we have internet can be accessed by anyone and everyone under the sun, right? But intranet, as I told you, only the staff and employee, right? Limited access by some other organization. So if I am going to give access to certain kind of organization, for instance, I am going to provide them with certain kind of access, right? Data security, not secured. This is secured. Not anyone can gain access to the Drishti, internet connection basically, right? So this is secured. Extranet is also secured. This works on a larger scale because we talk about the globe, right? Here it works in the organizational sphere basically. So small networking is done here. Authentication for internet, it is not required, but yes, for intranet connection, we also will have to put in certain kind of passwords, right? And if we talk about the extranet, even the other people who are trying to gain access to the organization's internet, right? They are, trying to get connected externally. They will be authorized with one thing or the other, with some username or password, and hence it will be secured and authorization will be required, right? The protocols are same, TCP/IP protocol. Next question is, which of the following specific programs are initiated by UGC for the promotion of values and ethical practices? So till now we have done research, we have done ICT, now we are jumping to what? We are jumping to higher education questions, right? So which are the programs initiated by UGC for the promotion of values and ethical practices, right? The answer to this question is option D, that is A, B and D only. Jeevan Kaushal, Diksharam and Guru Dakshita, right? Let's just read what these programs do stand for and what are the objectives and aims of these three programs, which are for the promotion of what? The promotion of values and ethical practices. Jeevan Kaushal, curriculum of life skills, curriculum for life skills. So Jeevan, of course, it is life, and skills which are required in the life skills basically, which are required for a person to be there in the society. Those are the programs which are now, initiated by UGC, designed by the UGC, which aims at inculcation of emotional intelligence, right? So not just ratifying the books basically, right? But now also paying attention to the emotional intelligence of people, the students. Development of intellectual competencies, how the students can, develop with their intellectuality, right? So that is also one thing. Development of verbal and non-verbal communication skills, that how through your gestures you can also communicate certain things, that is non-verbal communication, and by verbally communicating you can also communicate with people, right? So that very thing is also being now taught under which program? The Jeevan Kaushal program. Has been framed for undergraduate courses across the country. The designed program is for 8 credit points. So just like the environment program was introduced by UGC in the curriculum of the undergraduate students, same is the case with the Jeevan Kaushal program now. That in the undergraduate courses, this program will be introduced with the credits of 8 credit points, right? Then we have Diksharam. Diksha is what? Direction, right? Diksharam. So giving direction to some, right? So basically it is the student induction program that you are trying to tell the students, basically some way or the other they are trying to tell that if you are interested in this very field, you can go about in studying this very field, right? To help new students adjust and feel comfortable in the new environment if they are taking admission in particular college, right? Inculcate in them the ethos and culture of the institution, right? So what are the values which are basically promoted in that very institution? So you are in induction program. So for example, in certain universities even, induction programs are conducted for students, to tell them what are the rules and regulations, how you can reach out to what person if you feel any kind of uncomfortableness, right? So help them build bonds with other students and faculty members, because in the induction program as well, the faculty members are also introduced, right? Expose them to a sense of larger purpose and self-exploration, that if they want to enroll themselves in a certain kind of course, they can enroll and self-explore their own selves, that how this thing is going to benefit them, are they interested in that very thing or not, correct? Then we have Guru Dakshata. Guru Dakshata is faculty induction program. If we talk about the Diksharam, that was student induction program, the Guru Dakshata is faculty induction program, right? So it aims to sensitize and motivate the faculty to adopt learner-centered methodology, ICT integrated learning, and new pedagogic approaches. So basically what happened in the COVID pandemic was this, that the students, the teachers who were, elder, they were not aware to use technology from their end to take classes through Zoom, anything like that, right? So basically what they were doing, that they were trying to learn certain things. So UGC now has produced a new program for them, that the faculty should also be knowing that how using ICT can be beneficial on their end as well for the online teaching at times, if such times arise again, right? This induction program includes teaching and research methodologies. So research is again being promoted. Flipped classrooms, collaborative learning, case approach, one way or the other for the research methodologies part. Use of ICT. Currently, as I am teaching using this smart board, people, they are teaching the teachers only. So basically it is teaching the teachers program. Curriculum structure and design. Sensitization to gender and social diversity, that their minds should be open to anything, right? Professional ethics, sharing of best practices, and updating developments in their field of study, etc. So if a teacher is from the historical background, he should be dealing with history, but coming up with new ways of, to make the things or the topics interesting for students, correct? Then again, a statement-based question. Technical education is that which emphasizes on the learning of techniques as technical procedures and necessary skills, and aims preparing technicians usually above the secondary level. Statement 2 says, there is no distinction between vocational education, industrial education, and technical education. So, you are supposed to choose amongst these very options. The answer to this question is option C, which says that statement 1 is true, but statement 2 is false. Of course, there is a distinction between vocational education, because vocational education is something which is related to what? Which is related to the career growth, right? Career or job fields. But if we talk about the technical education, it contains engineering, etc. Right? Basically the technicalities, the point which has been mentioned here in the statement 1, right? And if we talk about industrial education, related to different kinds of industries, for example, food industry, right? For example, cloth industry. So basically these types of education are different. Vocational is different, technical is different, industrial is different. The next question that I have for you here is, which of the following are the state universities of India? Right? The answer to this question is option C, which is A, C and D. These three universities are the state universities of India. But if we talk about option B and option E, these two are the central universities. Right? So I have had here the answer as C. So in the C option, we had A, C and D, but the two of them, the E pointer and the B they are the central universities in India. Correct? So now you see that how even if we were preparing for examination, like, for NET, etc., these people were rarely, first of all, they were rarely asking questions about the state universities. They were usually asking questions that how many universities, state universities, central universities, deemed to be universities are there in India. But now they have started targeting to make the questions appear a little, difficult and complex to the students. They have started asking questions which are related to providing the students with a list so that they can get confused. In the previous video, I've also talked about the science and technical institutions which was there established in the year 1971, that how now for the establishment year also they are asking questions, right? So the format, they are making it more and more complex with time. But yes, if you guys put in that much effort by reading, by going through the PYQs or paper analysis, etc., and by watching the videos, you all will be able to see that how even if the format has changed, we will be able to crack it. Correct? Coming to the next question, which of the following are included among the institutions of agricultural research? Pause your screens a bit. The answer to this question is option A, which means all these four institutions are the ones which are used for the agricultural research part. Correct? Next question, statement 1, in ancient India, education was free. Statement 2 says in ancient India, education was centralized. The answer to this question is option C, which says that statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Why? Because the educational centers, for example, Nalanda, Takshila for that matter, right? These were not really controlled by people, right? By a particular authority. Correct? So the education was not really centralized, but yes, it was free because no fees was basically paid. The students used to give Guru Dakshina in one way or the other, but that was not supposed to be the fee, the monetary fee that in today's institutions that we pay. Right? Hence the question's answer is option C, that statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. So I hope you all were able to get your doubts solved when it comes to the analysis of English literature, shift 2 of paper 1. Right? I will be seeing you again in some new video. Till then, keep on studying. Yes, we are going to start for the, other videos I'll be bringing forward for you. Till then, you should be determined enough to study enough for your UGC NET examination so that you all can crack it. Right? I'll see you again. Till then, keep on smiling, keep on studying. Thank you so much.